Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Lee,
the evil wizard. Welcome.
And in today's video, we're going to take a look at some brutal death metal vocals. So let's check this out. So yeah, we're going to take a look at some brutal vocals that I did. Yes, these are my vocals. I know. That I did for the song apart a couple of weeks ago. When the guns fall silent. Let's dive down into Studio Pro and take a look. So these are the vocals on there. As you can see, I've got 4 vocal takes, and yes, these are actually 4 different vocal takes, because as you can see, they're not all quite 100% match up, but they're near enough. So these are the 4 vocal takes.
Scared and cold for what?
As you can hear, there's some delay throws in there, but we'll come to that at the beginning. So now I'm really chuffed with these vocals that I did on here. Somebody did ask me what, because I had mentioned to a couple of people that I'd bought a bit of a growling course. So this is the course I bought. This is the Metal Growl Mastery, and the one I bought was the Beginner's Guide to Brutal Growls Starter Kit. Well, I can't remember the name of the guy who runs this, but I think it really helped me out. So he goes into different techniques for sort of low, mid and high growls, sort of fry screams, if you will. It's sort of a bit of an overview. He does other courses where he dives in a bit more deeper, but as you see, there's 45 videos to go through. So even though it's a beginner kit, there's still quite a lot in there. Give you some techniques to do for different growls. Obviously, give you some different warm-up techniques as well to find your own actual voice. And yeah, like I said, I was pretty happy with how these sounded. So I'm going to switch all the processing off so you can hear how the vocals sound raw.
Scared and cold for what?
So we've got 2 styles of vocals here. We've got some deeper growls.
Scared and cold.
We've got 2 of them. The processing's not on at the minute. And then we've got some mid-range type growls as well.
Scared and cold.
As you can hear, they're a bit quieter, so let me just bring them up a little bit.
Scared and cold for what?
I thought I'd just have them a bit lower down in the mix. So normally what I'll do is I'll just record into a mic and record dry. Well, not necessarily record dry, but there'll be some effects on there just for me, just a little bit of EQ and that. But I say there's something a little bit different on everything on this track. First of all, we tried a different mic out. For the last few vocals I've done, I've used the PreSonus. Let me get my goggles on. I've used the PreSonus PD70, and recently I did buy a new mic. I bought one from UAD. It was on offer from Guitar. I bought the SD7. I thought I'd give it a try out. Now, I did find, mind you, I didn't have a pop filter in front, but when I was just testing it out, I was finding it, every now and again, it was sort of really spiking. So instead of having a compressor in the actual chain at the front, I actually recorded into a compressor. So in Studio Pro, is it that one? No, it's that one. It's not in this template, it's in my tracking template. You can put inserts on your inputs. So it's actually printed onto your tracks, which is what I did for this. So the first thing we've got going off is some EQ. So it's basically the same EQ across all 4, except on the higher growls, we've got a bit of a low shelf cut going off, but on the lower growls, we've got a high shelf boost on there, but the rest of the EQ is exactly the same. So with that EQ on, the vocals are sounding a bit like this.
Scared and cold.
But it's just sort of tidying things up a bit, just sort of taming that low end down, just taking a bit of that mid-range out, that sort of nasally mid-range that any vocalist has got, especially for these type of vocals. Well, after that, just use a bit of, right in the middle there, a bit of saturation in there. This is the JST Spice. Use the I just use these on the two deeper gravels and just dial that into taste. Bit of brightness in there as well. So let's just see what it's doing on those two deeper gravels.
Scared and cold.
So it's just adding that little bit of grit, bit of gravel in there. And like I said, that was just on the deeper gravels, because I did something a bit different on the sort of mid-range gravels. So following that, we're just using 1176 style compressor just to level everything after that EQ and saturation.
Scared and cold for once.
But as you can hear, we're pretty heavy-handed on there just to tame everything down. And then we've got a second compressor on there, and this is an LA2A style compressor, and this is same again. You're just doing little bits. You don't want to really bang one compressor on the vocals, so you sort of want to stack your compressors. I mean, there's a couple of tracks I've done where I've sort of had 4 or 5 different compressors on. Everyone just doing a little bit. Same again, this is just leveling everything off, but it's just bringing a bit of volume back in as well. So we'll have a listen to what that's doing.
Scared and cold for once.
So as you can hear, each compressor's got a different bit of flavour to it, so it'll add a little bit of different tone to your vocals. And then following that, we've just got a de-esser in there.
Scared and cold for once.
So we're just taming those simulances down a bit, about negative 6 dB. And then we've got a limiter in there just to make sure everything doesn't clip. We're just getting there to a certain level.
Scared and cold for once.
On the mid-range vocals, I added this vocal comb. They've got a preset on there called Talking Bass. So let me just bring them up a bit again so you'll be able to hear it. So without that on,
Scared and cold.
yeah, they're just your normal sort of mid-range type growly vocals. But with this on,
Scared and cold for once.
I wanted those vocals, if you will, to sound a lot more. This is why I didn't have that saturator on with these vocals, because that's what this is doing. There's a little bit of saturation in there. There's some pitch shifting. There's some resonance in there, and it's just sort of making them vocals sound a bit of a carcass trick, if you will, technique. Sort of making one of the vocals sound a bit unworldly, unearthly, if you will. That's the word I'm looking for, unearthly. But after that, yeah, got the same de-esser and the same loud max, and bring it on. And then, as you hear all 4 tracks together,
Scared and cold for once.
let's move on to the send effects. So the deeper growls, I've got going to a slapback delay, which I'm using the BSA one on the slap one, and yeah, just dial everything into taste, bit of feedback, bit of reverb, bit of extra drive, and a low and a high cut, and EQ in there from my template just to take the top end off the send effect vocals, just to help it blend in with the mix. Like I said, we have got on certain words and phrases, and I've only done this on the main vocal. We've just got some send effects to a delay, which I'm using the BSA again, but on a ping pong. And it's just on a quarter, straight ping pong. So it goes ping pong, ping pong. So we'll be able to eat it here.
What?
And again here.
Our brothers.
As you know, just that quick ping pong delay. And that, I say that's just on the main vocal. So I've got these going off to a width send effect, and I've called it width, but actually a bit of a pitch shifter type thing. So both vocals are going in, and it's a stereo effect, and it sort of alters the left and right, so the different pitches, and it just gives them sort of backgroundy vocals a little bit of extra width, just fills your mix out a little bit. And then on the actual vocal bus, we have got a tiny amount of EQ, because you've got all them 4 vocals together, you will get a bit of build up in that mid-range. So all them 4 vocals plus all these 3 effects are then going off to a vocal stem track, and you've seen me use this on all the other videos. We've got going off to, on there we've got the Summoners A console for some console emulation and a bit of EQ. So that's the vocals, and we did have some sound effects in here. Let me find them sound effects. So the first lot of sound effects we've got going off, when that sort of intro came back in, I just felt it needed a bit of something. What's it need? And I just thought, let's go with the title of the song. We want some explosion, we want some like cannon type explosions on there. So all these are from, I think all these first lot of effects that we're going to show you are from BSA. Like I say, I'm still in the BSA Academy, but if you're in there, you can download these for free and then you can use them as and when you please. So we've got a bit of a whoosh to start off with. Let me just solo that whoosh out. And then that goes into the explosion. And I've got 3 different explosions going off just to combine it into one big explosion rather than just trying to do it all off one effect. And that goes off twice in the song. I didn't feel like it needed it to be on every time that chord hits it. I did try it. It were a bit too much. I thought, let's just try it on the first and the third one. So in the context of the mix, and then it kicks back in again on the third one. I felt just on those 2, it was like, yeah, I'm happy with that. And then we have got some snare bombs. Now these are some from Joey Sturgis, if I remember rightly. But yeah, these are a keg. Now I've got these in that bridge part before we go into the solo. And I say again, it's not on every snare hit, it's just on sort of certain ones. So let me just bring them in with the drums and just sort of take it in and out. Same again, I didn't want it on every snare hit, just on sort of every other snare hit. And when he's doing a fill, I didn't use it either as well. I just wanted that snare to hit in that sort of breakdown, sort of bridge part, if you will. Didn't bother with any of the processing at all on any of these. I liked how they were sounding. They're pretty much processed anyway from both Jordan and Joey Sturgis. And same again, they're just going off straight to a stem bus, which, yep, we've got that A console on there and some EQ, which has got nothing going off. So let's have a look at the final processing we've got going off on the main fader, the tool boost, the whatever you want to call it. So first thing I've got going off is this is that same A console, but this is in the bus module. So all them stems are going into that. Then I'm using the SSL bus compressor. So let's see how much compression we going off on there. So 2 to 3 dB of gain reduction going off in there. That's just that word everybody uses, just to glue everything together. So between every now and again it'll just notch onto 4. Personal preferences, some people like it between 2 and 4, some people sort of aim for that 4. It's all down to personal preference. And then we've got some tape emulation on there as well, just to add some tape saturation. And then I just decided to add a little bit of EQ in there. I just felt we had needed just a tiny amount of low end in there, and this is a 1081 style EQ. Just taking a little tiny notch of mid-range out, added a little bit of 8K and added a little bit of 16K. Now this is an analog style EQ. It's one of them EQs that just has that little bit, with it being an analog style. It's not like banging a digital EQ in and doing the same sort of moves. This is a bit more subtle, if you will. So without that EQ on, yeah, it's just sort of bringing that top end out a bit and just taking a bit of that muddiness out and just giving some oomph into that low end. And after that, this is something I've been using for a little while actually. I'm using the Oxford inflator. Didn't use this for a long time, and then I think it was Scott Elliott that did a video on this, and yeah. So without that on, nobody can actually just say what this is actually doing. I think it's some sort of, if you will, some type of upward style compressor. Yeah, I've got it in, got the effect on at 100%, and then just dialed the curve in as I wanted. So you can either have a negative curve or you can have a positive one. I had it about 14, and then after that, there is a limiter, but that's switched off because as I'm doing a full mix, I use ozone. So I'm using a bit of dynamic compression, like the C4 thing, but we're using all the bands on this one. We're just sort of just taming things down a bit, and then we've got using the Excite just for some saturation in there across the whole mix on different bands again, and then we're just using the maximizer in there. I've got it set to negative 0.2 just to get a few, and then we're just knocking some of those snare hits down just to keep those snare hits tamed down a bit. So there you go, folks. Was the final video in this mix week. I've done some vocals in there, got some sound effects in there, and then I showed you what I've used on the master fader. So hopefully you've enjoyed these videos. Hopefully you like what I do. If you don't, then what are you doing here? Yeah, some techniques that I use on vocals and on, well, across the whole mix. If you've watched all these videos, and yeah, if you're a mixer, like as I said in the others, are these any of the techniques that you use? These are a lot of these ones that I picked up off other people. As we all do, we sort of shared different things out, different techniques. But if you're not a mixer, you're an artist or you're a band, and you record your own music, but you want to find somebody that mixes it for reasonable rates, get in touch. Like I said, there's my website down in the description, so you can go check out my portfolio of other songs I've mixed up as well. And if you want to grab yourself some Evil Wizard merch,
There's a link to the merch store down in the description.
That's all from me, folks.
I will catch you in the next one.
Right, folks, I hope you enjoyed that video. You can follow me on social media, and you can get my music online. And if you want to support the channel, there's Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal links. They're all down in the description. Click up here to subscribe and click the link down there for videos that you may not have seen. Keep it loud and keep it heavy.